Good morning. Okay, you may now take your seats. So, how are you today? Are you alright? Have you taken your breakfast? Yes? Maluya, what energy. Are you okay? Are we good? Okay. Now, we will be discussing another lesson in mathematics. Will be enlighten your mind. So, we will be talking about conditional statement. May I ask you, class, what comes into your mind when you heard the word conditional statement? Any thoughts? Yes, Jonah, you're raising your right hand. Very good.
When I hear the word condition, from itself, it's giving an assumption.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for that thoughts. Later on, we will be enlightening or we will be unlocking the word conditional statement. But before that, let me show you first the objectives after. Our objectives for today is define hypothesis and conclusion. Describe the relationship between hypothesis and the conclusion, and determine the hypothesis and conclusion in an if and then statement. But before that, let me show you first a short video clip. So, what was the video all about? Okay, Vero?
The video is all about the typhoon Yolanda.
Okay, the typhoon Yolanda, which happened last 2013 and killed many lives and lost our hopes. That was a nightmare for all of us. From that video that you have watched and from the image that you are looking at the screen, we will be having our opinions or our insight if what would be our lesson for today, which is the conditional statement. Now, let's talk about what is conditional statement. Earlier, you have mentioned the word opinions, definition, assumptions, which are all correct. Because from the word itself, conditional statement, we are giving assumptions, tentative assumptions, for which we will be having our conclusion. From that statement that you have, you will conclude. Parang ganito lang siya. Pag ganyan ka, pag ganito ka, so ano ang magiging conclusion mo dyan sa iniisip mo? Yun yung idea niya. Di ba, ganyan naman kasi tayo. Mahilig tayong mag-conclude. Kaya tayo nasasaktan. Right? Di ba? So, that's the idea of conditional statement. So, in other words, conditional statement is a compound statement in a form of if and then statements. Okay, let's go back to our English grammar subject. When we say compound statement, it is a sentence or a form of statement in which it is composed of two or more than thoughts or clauses. Am I right? That is why it is called compound statement. For example, I will go to church and ride my bicycle. That is an example of compound statement. However, I use the word and to make it as a one statement. So that's a compound statement. In here, if we pertain the word statement, we are pertaining for our if and then statement. So that's it, if and then statement, wherein our if or our P is our first statement, then our Q or our then statement is our second statement. Before that, always remember that in every if statement, it is our hypothesis. That in every after our then statement is our conclusion. Just remember this phrase. If P, hypothesis, then Q, conclusion. So that's your clue. If P, hypothesis, then Q, conclusion. So, yon. Kanina pa tayo banggit ng banggit. Ano ba ang hypothesis at conclusion? Ano nga ba ito? So, let's define what is hypothesis. May you read it please for me, Monica?
Hypothesis, a tentative assumption made in order to draw out and test its logical or empirical consequences.
Okay, thank you so much. In research, we use hypothesis. We really need to use hypothesis because it is our guide in order to come up for our research, because we have these so-called variables. We have our dependent and independent variables. At the end of the research, we will going to identify if we are going to reject or accept the null and the alternative hypothesis. So we need hypothesis in order for us to test the two variables or the independent and dependent variables in our study. Like here, the hypothesis here is our assumptions. Assumptions which may help us to come up for a conclusion. So that is our hypothesis. And when we say hypothesis, it usually uses the word if in our first statement. For example, if I am pretty, okay, that's the hypothesis. We use the word if. Then the conclusion, yes. Can you read it for me, Jonah?
Conclusion. It is the necessary consequences if one or more propositions takes as premises.
Okay, thank you. Conclusion. Ito na ang result ng inyong assumptions or ng inyong hypothesis. Gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, pag ganito ka, pag ganyan, so ano ang magiging konsepto mo o ano ang magiging conclusion mo dyan? So, these are the consequences or the result of your assumptions or your hypothesis. So, that is the idea of conclusion. And it usually uses the word then in the first statements. So, that's the hypothesis and conclusion. Okay, for example, number 1. If a number is greater than 0, then the number is positive. What is our hypothesis in that statement? Okay, Veronica.
The hypothesis in the statement is if a number is greater than 0.
Okay, very good. Why did you say that it is our hypothesis?
Because the statement starts with the word F.
Yes, very good, because of the if statement. Then what is our conclusion? So easy, yes, Jonah.
The conclusion is that the number is positive
How do you say so?
because it has a word then.
Okay, very good. So easy, right? The if and then statement. Next example. If the base angle of the triangle are equal, then it is an isosceles. We can conclude that if the base angle of the triangle are equal, we conclude that it is an isosceles. So our hypothesis, very easy. If the base angle of triangle are equal, then of course the conclusion that it is an isosceles. Another last example. If a number is divisible by 6, then it is divisible by 3. So easy. If statement, if a number is divisible by 6, then our conclusion, then it is divisible by 3. Am I right? Does the statement correct?
Yes. Hey, are you the new transferee?
Are you Jeff? We're talking to you.
Mind your own business. You're just new here. Why are you acting like that? How dare you?
Know your place, bitch.
Bye.
Okay.
We choose bullying because bullying is rampant nowadays.
And the if and then statement that we come up from the activity is if you bullied someone, then you ruined someone's life.
And if people can accept differences, then bullying happens.
Okay, pause. Thank you so much for the presentation and for your role play. Your ideas are all correct. That if bullying happens, it really ruins someone's life. That's the conclusion. Okay. For your assessment, you will make a graphic organizer showing the conclusion of if and then statement and write a brief explanation of it. So, gagawa lang kayo ng if and then statement kahit anong scenario and you will submit it to me tomorrow in the morning in our first subject. Okay, are we good for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's it. Always remember that in every if statement, we always have our then statement. That whatever assumptions we have in our mind, we always come up for a conclusion. So that's it for our lesson for today. I hope you learned something. Thank you so much, class, and have a good day.